Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going briefly over the new Gems of War faction of the Dripping Caverns, some Team 4, and some just general strategies. So as far as this place, it is associated to Grosh'Nak, and actually comes in with 2 additional stats. One is for getting Grosh'Nak to 20 stars, which ends up giving you 1 additional armor, and the other is just for getting a high total renown. If you have a really high number, you will end up being able to get 68,000, which will give you 1 additional HP, which of course stacks with all the other stats and work outside of the delves. As far as the delve layout itself, it's actually pretty straightforward, even though the layout looks a little bit weird, but because of where the actual numbers are, it's pretty straightforward, because you simply just take the tier 5, then you can easily go straight to the tier 4s, then the tier 3s, and then the tier 2s. There are some instances where tier 3s have like a 1.3 multiplier and stuff like that, and the other ones are a bit lower, but generally speaking, you just go straight from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2, and then just clear it out. There are no treasure rooms in this faction, so that makes it even more straightforward, in that you pretty much just do it in the numerical order, and you'll pretty much be good to go most of the time. Not really worth checking the off times where one of them might be slightly higher, as just doing it that way will pretty much be good to go. There can be treasure rooms, like it's random chance if they are. Like, for example, this is a treasure room, as you can tell by the really high gold. However, it is random chance. There is no guarantee treasure room within this faction. As far as the troops for the faction, they are pretty average as far as the Dripping Caverns, so they do come with a unique perk. That this faction actually ended up getting delayed by about 2 weeks, because I believe this perk probably wasn't working slightly correctly. But basically, they do it based on the most of something. So this guy destroys a bunch of mana based on the most of an enemy mana. This one ends up doing it based on 5 explodes based on the allies' highest mana, and so on and so forth. So overall, basically whatever one you have the highest of, it'll end up doing either for your own team or for the enemy team. Overall, the only one that's probably going to be okay and even used beyond, just doing the faction is probably going to be the Shoggoth. The Shoggoth does have an enrage whenever an ally ends up casting a spell, which is a little bit of a weird combination. However, there are some skull spam oriented teams where that is beneficial, where they're casting a lot, and being able to get free enrages can end up helping out based on their cast. But it also gets a double silence, which isn't too bad, a double guarantee silence while also doing true damage, while still having mana accumulation. This ends up getting some pretty decent value, because it kind of has like an Infernus-like amount of explosion that it gets to do, which ends up assisting back into trying to get even more silences. Of course, it does keep silencing the same things over and over again, assuming they don't die, but it does end up getting its mana back, so you'll pretty much perpetually be able to keep the first and final slot silenced, assuming that they can end up being silenced. We also ended up getting a new weapon through the faction, as we always do, of course. The weapon is pretty underwhelming. You might want to get it for completionist sake, and if you went to tier 4, you already have it laying around, but overall, you're not really going to be using this. It's basically, there's a lot of weapons similar to this that do explode, and all the explode ones are going to be way better than the destroy, just because destroy is not going to end up doing nearly as much mana accumulation. If this was destroy random gems, it would be fine, but given that it's basing it off of a single color, what's going to destroy it is not going to be end up doing too much, and it just gets summoned onto one of the troops from the faction, which are all pretty average troops. So overall, pretty useless weapon that you would just get for completion's sake, or the fact that you just got it while going for the rewards. Tier 4, I do believe, is enough to go for all the stage rewards, and of course, going for something like tier 7 a few times will be enough to go and gets to 500 pure faction. I believe 4 is the minimum for that, which comes out to about 1,910 if you want to wait all the way to Sunday to get it done. We did it with 2,110, and we'll be doing it tonight at our stream, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be finishing that up to go get the pure faction done, which of course gives you the pet that you need as well to go do Grosh'Nak, as it does require a third pet, and that third pet is this faction's pet. Anyways, let's go over into some teams. There are quite a few options that you can use here. It is a green-blue restriction, and this is the same one as All-Seeing Eye, and I believe maybe one other faction, but same one as All-Seeing Eye. They're pretty close to each other on the map. But anyways, if you're looking for something super cheap, you can just use Urskea Shield to Rowain. Pretty standard. Urskea Shield you get from 250 wins off of Sentinel hero class, which you get from Urskea, of course. Rowain you get for free for completing Alphars of Thorns. Leprechaun you do need to find randomly in keys, but it's ultra rare, so it's pretty cheap to get. And Mirage Queen you get by throwing Chaos Shards at the portal for Sunken Fleet. You can easily get this during this weekend, since you are getting Chaos Shards from participating in this event anyways, so you'll be able to go use that on the Sunken Fleet faction and go get yourself a Mirage Queen if you don't already, and then get it fully traded. And of course the basic premise is cast Leprechaun, throw Urskea Shield into Rowain, and just scales the entire way, and then you kill off of Rowain's really high armor boost ratio that is 2-to-1 on armor. That's pretty much the whole premise. Really cheap to build, and cheapest thing that can get you through the entire way, other than just trying to brute force it with Mang. Anyways, somewhat similar premise. We do have access to Tesla and the Holy Saint Astro, so you can do kind of the same thing, except using Urskia Shield into double Tesla. Holy Saint Astro starts them with half mana start, plus has additional armor gain if you want, and Tesla, of course, has that nice boost ratio based on all the armor, not only on your own team, but also on the enemy's team, so it scales throughout the entire delve. Ends up working out really well. You can run it the entire time. Another one that you can run the entire time if you want is a standard Forest Troll into King Gop Truffle. Last slot really depends on what you want to go with. Personally, I find Doomed Glaive into Warden to be the best, using Dispel so you don't have to worry about Submerge, as it's a little bit more common when you're doing delves due to those rooms that give Submerge after they cast every single time, which is really annoying to find when your only damage source is full AoE, which gets countered by the Submerge. If you don't have this, you can go with Mirage Queen here. That's the cheapest thing you can do. You can also do Doomed Club or some kind of other weapon. Ideally, one that can be fed by green or brown, as you will be getting excess of both of those manas, particularly brown, but doing it with green can convert away the browns into Doom Skulls, which ends up working out pretty well. But cheapest option you could put there is just a Mirage Queen, which starts the entire team with half mana start. However, you will not have Dispel since you're not using Hero class. Anyways, aside from that, though you would have Curse through Mirage Queen, which can kind of handle it a little bit though. But anyways, as far as the next team, for 200 plus, you could theoretically run this the whole time too, but generally it doesn't start getting good value until a little bit later on. You can end up running the instant kill team. If you don't have Zugoff, you can, once again, use Mirage Queen. Tends to be the thing that can fit pretty much anywheres. But you just run the Mount Crusher to Apothecary to feed into High King Iron Gut. High King Iron Gut goes crazy, and you can pretty much win from there. You can go double King Iron Gut. You can go single High King Iron Gut with a Curse. You can go with a Zugoff. Really just depends how you want to roll it down. Though do be wary that there is a bunch of Stealthy and a single Impervious on both the first and final battle. So this time around, you are likely going to want to have at least something to deal with it, either Mirage Queen, Zugoff, some kind of curse to end up dealing with the immune to Devours that will occur. And aside from that, for Pure Faction, the Rock Squid into double Shoggoth into the Jelly, specifically with the Shoggoths in the middle. Main reason for this is since the enemy also has a Shoggoth, you want it to silence both your first slot and your last slot. The Rock Squid you're using entirely just because it has a 50% score reduction, and for no other reason. You actually would not cast its ability, so this thing getting silenced is actually beneficial because you don't want to feed mana into this. Well, obviously, most likely in many battles, but you don't want to cast this ability. It's only remove and not destroy, so it gets really, really small value. The armor gain is basically 0 relative to level 500 Pure Faction, so you basically never want to cast this a single time so that you can feed more blue into your Shoggoths, and you're using it entirely just for the 50% reduction. So if it gets silenced, it doesn't matter. If the Jelly gets silenced, it also doesn't matter because it's impervious, so it can't be silenced. You use this for a little bit of mana accumulation as well, since it ends up doing a little bit of gems. Also does it with skulls, so it's kind of like those Guardian troops, which is kind of unfortunate. Obviously, pure mana would be a little bit better, but still overall, it's not too bad a value, though the skulls might accidentally overlap some of your mana. And then obviously you use your Shoggoth as your main way of winning. He gives you Enrage, he gives you double silence, he gives you true damage, and obviously the true damage will be the main way that you're most likely going to be winning by constantly chipping them down. They'll both be silenced so they can't do anything, and you just keep casting over and over again until you end up winning off of just the double true damage poke that he has, while also gaining the mana accumulation. So he keeps feeding the entire team with mana, and you kind of just keep going from there and just win. And obviously the banner is set all in on blue and purple, and that's pretty much the whole strategy. But anyways, guys, all the teams mentioned in this video will be in the description below if you want to go and copy paste any of them. If you have any other questions about the faction or anything else, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful Easter if you celebrate, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching.